Merrill Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
Triple M is Jody Matho for breakfast. Jody, feels like we haven't spoke to the Mayor in a long time.
I feel that way too.
But we're speaking to him now, Mayor Matthew Dickerson. Good morning, how are you?
It feels like approximately 3 weeks since I've spoken to you. I've been missing you guys so much.
Now, we had some good news that we heard overnight about the DRTCC. A lot of people have come and gone through those doors.
A lot of people have come and gone. In fact, about 1 million people have come and gone, which is quite an incredible number. Matho, you and Jody are too young for this, but I can remember back in the mid-2000s when there was a lot of discussion and debate about Dubbo getting a theatre. And opinion wasn't all one way. There were some people who said we didn't need it, didn't want to pay for it. The only special rate variation that I've ever been involved with in my time on council was a 5% rate rise over 2 years, specifically to build the theatre, because we got zero money from any other level of government to build that. We ended up building that, opened on the 23rd of July 2010, and from that date to now, just over 1 million people. We ticked over 1 million people just recently, so just over 1 million people have been through that, which is just incredible. If you had have asked me back in 2010 when we did the official opening how long it would take to get to 1 million people, I would have said decades. I wouldn't have said 14 years.
14 years, that's crazy to get 1 million people, but there's so many shows that are on all the time, so it's also, I feel like I'm not surprised about it.
Well, we had some of the subscribers. We have lots of people that are very loyal and subscribe to the theatre season each year, and we had some subscribers at the event we did to celebrate the 1 millionth person. And I asked one of those subscribers how many shows they think they've been to, and they tried to do a quick count, but they said maybe 80 or more shows, and I went, that's incredible. Like, it's something that some people really live for, to be able to see what's on the program each year, what they can go to, and really take advantage of that. The great thing about it is we get international and Australian acts coming along because they've now got a theatre that they can perform in that will actually show off their talents in the best possible way.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. Well done to the theatre. Well done to everyone that runs as well. Well done to Tiffany too, who we speak to. She's a great girl.
Yeah, she is great. Something we've been following as well is the new Dubbo Bridge that's being built.
Yeah, it's certainly progressing. We had a councillor tour on the bridge just recently. Now, this is not a council project. This is a state government project. Transport for New South Wales is the department that's running that whole bridge construction. Abergeldy is the company who's actually got the contract to do that. But it was good for us to just keep up to date with what's going on. So we went over for an inspection, went up on the deck. There's a number of decks that have already been constructed, and they're high. They're up very high because that bridge has got to be above the 1 in 100-year flood level, so it's obviously a fairly high bridge, and a fair bit's been done. And as we looked around, being amateurs as we are, not expert engineers, we looked around and we said it's going pretty well, should be open in a few months' time, but not a few months' time. Even though all the pylons have already been driven and some of the decks are already up, it's still towards the end of 2026 before we'll be driving cars across there. But it certainly is progressing, and a fairly impressive piece of infrastructure when you look at it, and just the construction that's going on, it does look like a lot of people. And sometimes, some days, they've got 300 people on that site. And as we stood up there on the deck and looked around, you could see people in all sorts of places doing a whole range of activities.
Does it have a name yet?
It has a name of the New Dubbo Bridge, which is not a great name. And I always joke that in Australia, we're not great at naming things. We see a bay, it's got sharks, we call it Shark Bay. We see a bridge going across Sydney Harbour, we call it Sydney Harbour Bridge. But there is a naming process underway for a proper name for the bridge, and that particular process is being run by Transport for New South Wales. They've had that open for nominations. That's now closed. They're now assessing those. There's a little bit more to go through, but at some stage, within months, I would estimate, there'll be some indication or recommendation from Transport for New South Wales that'll come back to council for us to look at, which will then go back to them, and then finally there'll be a name decided upon for the bridge.
If it was up to me, naming things going along through Australia, everything would be called Are We There Yet? But now, tell us, what's the latest with Rex?
Well, Rex, I want to give people confidence. Rex is still flying to regional locations. And the core business of Rex, the thing that Rex I think has done very well for the last 22 years, has been to fly from regional locations into metro, so in our case, Dubbo to Sydney. And Rex has had a very low cost base to run flights. So 4 flights for Sydney or even places like Parkes somewhere nearby or places like Orange, they've been able to deliver services sometimes where other airlines haven't been able to deliver those services and deliver cost-effective services. I'm not an expert on airlines and airline businesses, but it does seem to me that when they tried to go into the capital city to capital city market, that's where they struggled. But the administrators, Ernst & Young, who are running the administration process at the moment, the voluntary administration process, have certainly said to us, certainly said to councils, please give residents confidence that flights to regional locations will continue. So we want to make sure that people still buy flights on Rex. If they'd normally fly Rex, go and fly Rex, because we want Rex to survive. We certainly want 2 airlines in Dubbo, and for some places, as I said, there's only 1 airline, and that's Rex. So it keeps prices down in Dubbo, and last year we had 195,000 passengers through our airport. That capacity would be hard for Qantas alone to service. So we really want Rex in Dubbo to keep those prices down and service the capacity that we have here. But for regional Australia, I think Rex is very important. So if you normally fly Rex, I'd encourage people buy those tickets, and the administrators have said that your tickets will be safe.
Okay, very good advice. Thank you very much for the update, Mr. Mayor, and have a great couple of weeks, and we'll chat to you soon.
Thanks very much. Good to chat, guys.
Mero Memo with Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council.